So, what are the health risks of consuming genetically modified food? Well, there's a broad scientific and regulatory consensus that food on the market derived from these crops is safe enough to eat. Um, that seems kind of an understatement, but it has been many years, 20 years. The American Medical Association points out that during that time, no overt consequences have been reported or substantiated in peer review literature. And the American Association for the Advancement of Science says that food containing these crops pose no greater risk than the same foods made from crops modified by conventional plant breeding techniques. But even among those scientists and regulators, they say they would like to have more improved testing technologies and protocols to identify and manage risks even better. As the number or the distribution gets more and more. Some institutions, such as Cornell University and Greenpeace, call for much more rigorous testing. The health risks of consuming, they fall into different areas. One worry is that you are not getting the same food. That's called substantial equivalence. Is a test that says, yes, we have examined the genetic modifications, its protein products, and any intended changes that these proteins make to the food. And then if they are not the same, then you have to check the toxicology. Exposure to pesticides, if you're eating it and the plant's making it, you're eating that pesticide, it kills the bugs, but you're a lot bigger than a bug. Nothing has been confirmed, but it really does not sit well with a lot of people thinking that the pesticides are in these food, especially for pregnant women and their fetuses. Gene transfer from food to humans, very few studies. There are going to be more, but the researchers concluded in volunteers the transgene did not survive passage through the gastrointestinal tract. Now, other studies have found DNA from the M13 virus, GFP, or even Robusco genes in the blood and tissue of ingesting animals. What they're saying is the genetically modified feed to animals were two studies on the possible effects of giving these feeds to animals found there was no significant difference in the safety and nutritional value of the feedstocks, meaning when we ate the animals, when they ate the plants. No residues of recombinant DNA or novel proteins have been found in any organ or tissue samples obtained from animals fed. No deaths have been associated with the food consumption, and the effects of GM foods may take years, though, if not decades, to show. And things are moving fast. As of today, no proof exists that GM crops can be damaging to your health, but a lot more testing is being called for. And they have been wondering if you are allergic to a food, will you have trouble. 2005 review in the Journal of Allergy of the results from allergen testing found that no biotech proteins in foods have been documented to cause allergic reactions. However, when they added a gene from Brazilian nuts to animal feed for soybeans, people did suffer from an allergy attack. So they are showing that they need to, genetic modifications can also be used to remove allergens from food. That's a good thing. But they are aware that it can affect people. And then they're worried about the food chain. If the inclusion of genetically modified commodities intended not for human consumption into the human food supply. So if you're looking to make your food totally non-GM, but they're worried that for example, the soybeans that were meant to go one place gets into the food supply. And in fact, they found in 2000 that the animal feed that was meant of corn found its way into U.S. supermarkets, and Taco Bell's taco shells was very well publicized in 2005 that they had not meant to be going into the corn in those was not meant to be for human consumption. So the UK and Europe is very much more uh, uh, right, uh, um, uh, sensitive to GM foods, and you'll find very little GM modified seeds in Europe and the UK. American exports of rice to the European Union were interrupted in 2006 because much of the U.S. crop was confirmed to be contaminated with unapproved engineered genes. The environmental risks. Could they grow too well? Will they reseed themselves in areas where they're not desired and thus become super weeds? And we will not have a pesticide or herbicide to destroy them. Uncontrolled genetic mixing. How do you avoid crossover? Evolution of resistant superweeds. Genetically engineered crops resistant to them, but must be developed. And toxicity to innocuous bugs. We've talked about that a little bit. The bee colony is very concerned to a lot of people that they are showing a huge drop in their numbers. And of course, we're worried about the superbug. In 2009, the first case anywhere in the world of a Bt resistance was confirmed. The bullworm resistance has been since identified all over the world: India, Australia, China, and the US. So now they have to go back and re-engineer. And Mother Nature is pretty fast, and they need to keep on keeping up with them. Now, impact on world hunger, agricultural economics, intellectual property, and market dynamics. In fact, there was just a case in front of the Supreme Court of they ruled against a farmer who was using modified seeds, and he felt he did not have to pay copyright costs to Monsanto, and not copyright, I'm sorry, a patent cost to Monsanto, and he lost. It is hoped to impact world hunger a lot, increasing crops, increasing the health of crops. I mentioned yellow rice. The fear is that the agriculture is just too expensive, even with the non-profits and Monsanto giving away free seeds. There's the golden rice with the vitamin A deficiency. Licenses, there are suicide seeds if you do not pay for the licensing fees, and Monsanto is the biggest supplier of this by far of all the GMs, and so they're kind of making the protocol for that. And this is interesting. The sweet potatoes are pretty easy to grow around in many areas of the world. And so far, they've engineered to have all the essential amino acids. That is, those about 10 essential amino acids that we do not make in our bodies and have to eat. And they've put them all in the correct amounts, so making it, if you would, a perfect protein. Plus, they've added carbs and minerals. So from this one easy-to-grow crop, they could arrest many different problems.